All right, hello everybody, good evening, and welcome into a Thursday edition of KC Sports Tonight. I am Mark Poulose, joined by the great Gabe Swartz, as we have a ton of stuff to talk about today, but we got to start with maybe the biggest question I have for Gabe of the entire show. Today, we were kind of wondering, I was like, hey Gabe, are you going to be able to do KC Sports Tonight at 5:30? He goes, yes, I will, but afterwards I'm going to have to kind of get out of Dodge because Gabe, you are going to the Royals game tonight. My question for you, the Royals, let's look at them. 35-52. The Royals are 17 games below 500. They've lost 6 of their last 7. They're on the verge of getting swept for the 7th time this season. My question for you, why did you spend hard-earned American dollars to go to the Royals game tonight? Because in my opinion, they are not worthy of any fan spending money on them for the rest of the season.
Wow, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that because I think that, yes, it's very disappointing what they've become this year. They have fallen well short of expectations. I think some people deserve to have lost jobs that have not lost their jobs because they have not met expectations, and I don't think that that's too harsh of a thing to say about a team that had playoff expectations and is now on the verge of being the worst team in baseball. With that being said, first of all, I like hanging out with my friends. My friend said, let's go to the Royals game. I said I'm in. Second of all, it's going to be warm. It'll be a comfortable night. I don't think that it's miserable out there. I've been outside over the last week plus, and once the sun goes down, it'll be fine. And on the field, at least there's Bobby Witt Jr. and Jack Caglione and Carter Jensen to watch. That's what I'm saying. And with a banged up and hurt pitching staff, and we can talk about that with the news of Cole Reagans today, Stephen Kolek can be exciting at times. And I think that genuinely, if we start looking toward 2027 to turn this into a productive conversation and not just what's Gabe doing on Thursday night, I think that Stephen Kolek holds some of the keys to 2027 success for the Royals based on the options that are going to be available to them for starting pitching next year.
Yeah, a lot going on there. We got a lot to unpack. We'll just kind of start big picture. Today, the Royals taking on the Tampa Bay Rays, the final game of their 3-game set. The Royals are trying to avoid getting swept for the 7th time of the season. It is the last homestand for the All-Star break. But, Gabe, we have to talk about it's kind of breaking news. Came out about an hour ago. Royals beat reporters, Annie Rogers, Jalen Thompson, they basically all said that manager Matt Quatrero came out today, told the media that the opening day starter for the 3rd year in a row, Cole Reagans, has had another UCL surgery. They're calling this, at least the reports that I read, he's calling it a UCL repair. Now, why is this such a big deal is because Cole Reagans is a guy that the Royals traded for. They traded Aroldis Chapman to the Texas Rangers in return, and they got Cole Reagans. But Reagans, an extremely talented pitcher, very, very good when he's healthy. But while he was in Texas, had 2 separate Tommy John surgeries, kind of. Everyone sees the talent, but the injury issue is there with Cole Reagans. He pitched amazingly in 2024. Last year, I don't think he got to 100 innings. This year, the injury bug has got him again, and UCL surgery. Now, when you have Tommy John surgery, it is to repair a torn UCL. Now, was his UCL fully torn? That we don't really know, but he had UCL surgery for the 3rd time of his major league career, or his baseball career, which is obviously a big red flag. Gabe, you and I were just talking about this before we came on the stream here. To me, this is a situation where I think the Royals, I think they maybe need to start looking internally because his timetable of return is 10 to 12 months. To me, as an objective observer, I think the Royals need to start thinking that this is a guy they cannot count on. This is a guy who may not pitch again in a Royals uniform. Now, you brought up another alternative that you think could be a path for him to get back on the baseball field. What is that, and why do you think that could work?
Well, I agree with your assessment that he is not necessarily someone who you can trust, and you can't. No reasonable baseball mind is going to continue to see the injury that happened this year, the injury that happened last year with the shoulder discomfort and the rotator cuff strain that he had in mid-June. You mentioned not getting to 100 innings. I don't think he got to 75 innings last year. It was very much in that range. With all of that, we've seen the Royals bring a guy back from Tommy John surgery and have him go to the bullpen and have some success. During the 2024 season, they did that with Chris Bubich, and they knew that even though him being a starting pitcher is the best way to maximize his value, it brings a greater risk. And we've seen that because Chris Bubic has gone back to the rotation. He's had success. We've seen him hit his ceiling of being an all-star last year. And then shortly after he hit that ceiling, season-ending injury for a rotator cuff strain. And then this year, another time where shoulder discomfort has sent him to the injured list. And he's had multiple rehab stints and been sent back from his rehab stint twice, and as of yesterday got added to the 60-day IL. So I think they could follow a similar track with that. And to follow the point that I made earlier about Stephen Kolek and him being critical in 2027, you now have Chris Bubic, who is not – he's a free agent after this year. So what is his value? What is he going to cash in on, whether it's coming back to the Royals for a cheaper deal or going elsewhere for a change of scenery? And I don't know if he would need a change of scenery in terms of on-field success. He's been a good pitcher when he's been available for the Royals under Brian Sweeney, but he hasn't been healthy a ton. Cole Reagans is approaching the same thing where he's been productive when he's been available. A little disappointing, I would say, for being an opening day starter. I don't know if we can really tab him as an ace, given his level of consistency and the fact that we have multiple seasons of data in which either Seth Lugo has outpitched him or Michael Wacha has outpitched him, at least while he was healthy this year and last. And so with all of that being said, is going to the bullpen an option for him he's not going to be available until mid next summer anyways. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to, if 2027 and planning to contend for a wild card is the goal, because I don't think that this is a franchise that can afford, from a fan support and honestly from a clubhouse mentality of things, to blow it up and restart. I think that they're going to have to find a way to play competitive baseball. And with all of the injuries of the pitching staff, those two that we've just mentioned, and then Ryan Bergert, who was in AAA but figures to be a potential Major League Baseball starting pitcher for the Royals. He had some success last year. He's also coming off of a Tommy John surgery. It just happened much earlier in this year. So you have a lot of starting pitching dealing with injuries, and Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo are your oldest members of your starting rotation. They're also the most reliable from a health standpoint as of late. So JJ Picollo has his work cut out for him in terms of figuring out 2027, because the rest of 2026 doesn't matter. The ship has long sailed on them being a contender or even faking being a wild card team, which they're not close to being that either. So he's got to figure it out, and that's why he gets paid the big bucks, because this is a very tough decision on what to do with Reagans and Bubic, I would say.
Yeah, it certainly is. I know with Bubic, with his impending free agency, it kind of speeds up the timeline on that one. But speaking specifically about Cole Reagans, I think if you're a Royals fan, everyone that watches baseball, or you don't even have to be a Royals fan, when you watch Cole Reagans pitch when he is healthy, the guy is electric. The guy is the best stuff, I would say, in the entire Royals organization. Like, he is, when healthy, a genuine front-of-the-line starter. But the problem is he is rarely healthy. And I kind of think about the phrase, actions speak louder than words, and I think about when Cole Reagans signed a contract. Obviously, he still is under club control, I believe, through 2028. But before last season, he signed a 3-year, about $13 million deal with the Royals. And to me, that was a little bit of an eyebrow raiser, because he was coming off a season in which he had finished 4th in the American League Cy Young Award. Like, we saw his strikeout numbers, we saw the velocity, we saw the ability of Cole Reagans. And I was like, wow, like, this guy off of that season signs a contract for 3 years and $13 million. Why would his actions do that? And it's maybe because internally the guy knows he's had, at that time, had 2 Tommy John surgeries, and his body track record kind of said it was made of glass. Like, he was not able to do that consistently. So I think whenever you see some of these guys maybe signing contracts or making moves, and maybe the dollars are, it doesn't maybe necessarily match up with the ability that they have, because Cole Reagans was literally by the AL Cy Young voters, the 4th best pitcher in the league that year, signed a $13 million deal. I think that might be a clue to you, the fan, that maybe this guy is not fully confident in his body. Now, hopefully we hope that he can come back fully strong, fully ready to go, fully healthy, because he is such a good pitcher. But Cole Reagans is not good news with him having that UCL
Yeah.
surgery. Obviously, wishing him the best. But speaking of starting pitching, Gabe, this is something I wanted to talk about. This year, the Royals have 39 quality starts, which is tied for the Mariners for the most in the American League. And guess what? The Royals are they have the 29th most wins out of their 39 quality starts. That's how bad they've been. And they have the worst record in the American League. So, yes, the Royals, they want to be built on pitching. They want to be built on speed. I think maybe starting pitching-wise, if you look at quality starts, they're doing pretty good, but the results just aren't there. So, Gabe, to me, I kind of wonder, we were talking about this. You said J.J. Picollo has big decisions to make regarding this roster. I think John Sherman has a big decision to make because think of how long has J.J. Picollo been in this organization? How long have a lot of these Royals decision makers been here? And how many winning seasons have there been? I think the Royals, John Sherman, you're the owner, you're the boss, you're the guy that gets to make these decisions. This would be my question for him. Gabe, maybe you can strawman the argument for strongman it for John Sherman. Why does J.J. Picollo deserve to keep his job? Why should the Royals not blow it up? Because I think the evidence is beginning. It's overwhelming that the Royals, their plan doesn't work.
Yeah, I think that it's certainly not like an unimpeachable argument that J.J. Picollo has some ironclad job safety and that he just deserves to continue running the ship. I think real hard questions about everything need to be asked up and down the organization because I think that every single year, 2024, and we used to have these conversations back in 2024. I remember having this conversation with our good friend Jared Kohler plenty of times about the health of the Royals rotation, and they were so healthy in 2024. They had, I believe, they were in the bottom 3%, the three of the
injured list.
The healthiest rotations in Major League Baseball in 2024. Seth Lugo made all of his starts. Michael Walken made all of his starts. Cole Reagans, I think, made almost all of his starts that year, which is a minor miracle. When that has not happened, and then when you factor in injuries to players on the Kyle Isbells, the Michael Garcia, Bobby Witt Jr. has been banged up a little bit this year. Vinny Pasquantino got hurt again. And yes, it's unfortunate, but those things then expose what you have available to you in AAA and expose to you the depth of the organization. And the reality of the fact is, basically any time that they've had to go into AAA, they have been exposed for having a lot of quad A guys. A lot of guys who absolutely rake in Omaha and crush AAA pitching and come up to the major leagues and are just not productive major league players. We saw it for a long time with Drew Waters. We've seen it.
John Rave.
John Rave has been one of those guys as well. And the most success that they've had with anyone who has crushed it in AAA is Nick Lofton. And I like Nick Lofton. I think he's a very productive player, and I think he's a guy who fits on a winning roster, but he's not an everyday major league guy.
You can't play him in the field.
And so from there, I just think that the health of the farm system would, in my opinion, be a bigger indictment on the front office than this injury luck of this year, the unfair or unlucky part of a lot of the positional players being injured this year. So, I mean, there are some really big decisions. I would just go back to like the Reagan stuff and the bullpen stuff. One of the things that he runs into as his biggest issue as a starter is long innings and running his pitch count up and all those kinds of things. To me, that's not a problem if you make him. The Royals had a bad bullpen last year or this year. They've had one of the worst bullpens in baseball. Put him in the bullpen and say, hey, you have one of the highest whiff rates in baseball. You can get guys to swing and miss. Just go get guys to swing and miss for an inning. So I think that if it was me calling the shots, I would say in 2027, I would have Cole Reagans as either a setup, not the closer, but the eighth inning guy, and see how it goes. He could be a much better version of Matt Strahm than Matt Strahm was this year.
I mean, we've seen Cole Reagans as a starting pitcher dial up to 98, 97 miles per hour. I think if you put him in those one-inning scenarios, I think you could see some nasty stuff. But again, the Royals, I think they keep trying to ride the coattails of that 2024 season, but I think the more and more we look back on it, it truly was an aberration. You talk about the health. We also have to talk about the runners in scoring position. I think they had the second best batting average in baseball with runners in scoring position, and clearly we've seen over 2 seasons since then, a season and a half, I should say, the Royals were not able to keep that up, and their formula that they had in 2024 that worked was not repeatable. So I think, John Sherman, you have big questions to ask. You're going to open a new stadium. Bobby Witt Jr. has an opt-out in his contract. You're going to have to give this organization and Bobby Witt Jr. and this city as a whole a reason to believe in your franchise. And right now, there is no reason to believe in the Royals franchise because the product they put on the field is the worst in the American League.
Yeah.
It's not mean to say that because it's true. The Royals' record is the worst in the American League, and that is an indictment of them and their decision-making and their ability on the field. It is what it is. So the Royals, obviously, we hope they can turn it around, but things aren't looking great. But we have 3 more topics. We have about 14 minutes, so we're going to race through them. But we got to start with this one. I'm sure a lot of you guys saw this last night because Kansas City has been the #1 World Cup market in the United States as a surprise to nobody. Soccer capital of the USA right here, America's heartland. But last night in the 64th minute, maybe USA's most dynamic player at this tournament outside of Christian Pulisic, Flo Balogun, has a ball passed to him. It's curving in the air. It's not a straight pass. He kind of is making an adjustment to the ball, and as he does so, he inadvertently steps on a player from Bosnia-Herzegovina. And as he does that, he steps in a bad spot. It really puts a lot of force on the guy's ankle. Like what happened, that step that he put on the other guy's ankle looked like it hurt. But the reason we're bringing this up is because he was controversially given a big-time red card that will suspend him for the next match. Originally on the field, the official did not call a card. He just called a common foul. Nothing really happened. He decides to go a VAR check, leaves the VAR check. All of a sudden, a no-card situation is elevated into a red card. U.S. men's national team's goal scorer at this year's tournament, Flo Balogun, sent off the pitch in a state of disbelief, not only from himself, but I think from the fan base and the team as a whole. Gabe, was there funny business going on there last night? Because to me, this should not have been a red card in any way, shape, or form because it was not a card to begin with.
I just keep going back to other people who know a lot more than me and watch a lot more soccer than me. And I don't even need to listen to the Fox Sports analyst of the other Americans. I saw Landon Donovan call it BS. I saw Alexi Lawless pointing out the Messi situation where he stepped on the back of a guy's calf against Algeria in the first match
in Kansas City,
and he got no card. And let's use some common sense. But Thierry Henry and several of the other analysts who are not American and don't care whether the U.S. wins or not, Zlatan was up there as well. Both of them used the phrase common sense. And I think this goes for any sport. Common sense in general could be used to apply things in refereeing, in umpiring, and just especially anytime we're using replay. Let's use a little bit more common sense. One of the things that we have the great joys of in life is watching video, not just still pictures and not still frames. If you
the best video, I gotta pause. Best videos on KCTV5.
There you go.
All right, carry on.
If you look at things through still frames, there are great photos in the world. But if you look at replays of potential hostile acts, whether it's flagrant fouls in the NBA, whether it's red cards in soccer, if you look at just a freeze frame, something could look awful. Targeting in college football could look awful in a freeze frame. But if you watch the play at full speed, and you have the context of the fact that this is just 2 guys battling for the ball. It's not like the Bosnia guy had the ball and Flo went in for an intentional tackle and just made a bad tackle. I've seen tackles throughout the World Cup where guys have been intentionally trying to make a tackle and have gone studs up into someone's calf or leg or ankle and have not gotten a yellow card, let alone a red. So it's so annoying that there's just a lack of common sense and that the penalty of it. I mean, yes, the U.S. responded and went and won the last 36 minutes, adding the goal from Malik Tillman, which was awesome. and great to see. But the fact that he's not going to be able to be out there against Belgium because these VAR refs and Rafael, whatever
Klaus.
his last name, Klaus, from
He's a clown.
Brazil, it's just rough. It's tough to see, and I hate it for the fact that so many people are getting emotionally invested in this team, and then it just gets ruined. And the only people I've seen defending the call is just European soccer snobs who want to tell Americans that they know the game better and that this is clearly a red card. If the ref didn't see it on the field as even a yellow, and he was standing right there, it wasn't like he was obstructed. He was 10, 15 feet from the play. And you said it was called on the field a common foul. I'm pretty sure he signaled just a throw in. And then the guy rolled on the ground and
I would have rolled on the ground too if my ankle had been stepped on
but
like that.
there
It
you
looked
go.
like it hurt, but I
He
will
got up
say
and played the rest of the match.
Whenever you play in any of these tournaments or any sporting event, like anyone that's ever played sports, you're gonna face adversity. It's not gonna go to plan. Like you're gonna have to battle through things that you didn't anticipate. Now that could be injuries, that could be an official, that could be a red card, that could be all sorts of things. You have to play the cards that you're dealt. Can we sit here and cry foul that Flo Balogun shouldn't have had a red card? Yes, but what the thing is, you can't do anything about it. Yeah. Can you appeal it? No. And even if you could, it's FIFA. Do you think they're going to – is this an organization that is transparent? Is this an organization that upholds the best values? That's for you to decide. I would probably be on the side of no, but that's for me to say. That's my pure opinion. But it is what it is. Any game you play, you have got to deal with adversity and you have got to deal with problems. And we saw the USA. They had, no one on that team believed it was a red card. What did they do? They went down to 10 men. They packed it in. They defended. They had a set piece, and Malik Tillman did what he did, and the USA advances 2-0. Now the USA is going to have to figure out how to do this without Flo Balogun, but it is what it is. If you're going to win the World Cup, if you're going to go to the round of 30, to the round of 16, and potentially further, you are going to have to overcome obstacles. But I think there's a very good reason I think Team USA is going to be they're going to take on Belgium in the next round. But the guy that's given me so much confidence is head coach Mauricio Pochettino. You watch the way the players rally around this guy. You see the things that he says to the team. You see the things that he says to the media. And the way that he's got the entire team saying, why not us? I think he's the best coach that Team USA could have ever hired for this World Cup. And he's worth every dollar that U.S. men's national team is paying him to be the head coach of this organization. But Gabe, my favorite part, I think, of the World Cup, at least one of them, has been the adoption of Country Roads, Take Me Home. We have our Argentinian head coach who said he was, quote, 200% Argentinian after the game, singing Country Roads, Take Me Home to the place that I belong. What do you make of the way that this has become our song? Because I think we got to ride with it forever.
I think that if you are American and you understand the background of the song and what it means to a specific portion of the country,
I have a follow-up question here.
You may, and I'm aware of the history of that it is about Western Virginia, not West Virginia. With that being said,
is that true?
That is true. That is very much true according to several
to
sources,
Wikipedia. I don't know,
and according to the song artist himself.
All right, then it's real.
With all of that being said, I find it. Yes, it's ironic that it's being played in Los Angeles, Seattle, and Santa Clara because that's not probably somewhere where it's played a lot. But I will also say it is an inherently American song written by an American artist. And if you go down the list of like karaoke songs that are sing-alongs for an entire stadium and don't have complicated lyrics, which is the checklist for this, England had the same situation with theirs. It just fits. It rocks. And it's play that song after a win and find me someone who has a bad mood, and I'll say, you know what? You're a Scrooge.
That's right. You got to play the hits, and that's exactly what they're doing. So for those of you that don't know, Gabe referenced it there. England, what they sing afterwards is Wonderwall.
Yeah.
We sing Take Me Home, our Country Roads, Take Me Home. I think we won that battle. We also won the Revolutionary War, 2-0 against England all time, maybe 3-0 if we count the War of 1812. So shout out to us. I also like, I've loved the American excellence we've seen during the World Cup, especially with our people, with our culture, with our stadiums. But the one is after these games, we can just play the hits from Americans. There's Country Roads Take Me Home. They're playing Freebird. They were playing Elvis. They were playing and I was like, these are American artists, and you don't have them rest of the world.
Got to keep winning, though.
Yeah, you got to keep winning. Belgium, obviously going to be a very tough team, top 10 ranked team in the world, I believe. The Red Devils, they are very, very good, and Team USA will be without their goal scorer, Flo Balogun. But we'll see. Maybe Pepe, they can put him in there. Gio Reyna, maybe he can score some goals. We'll see what happens. But we're definitely all cheering on Team USA. Pochettino, keep dialing up those numbers. We're cheering for you. I love your outfit, whatever they call it, the Tom Cruise chic, whatever you have out there. Pochettino, keep it up. Stay here forever. We love you. All right, last thing to talk about tomorrow, Kansas City, the city of fountains, our hometown, the Paris of the Plains, is going to close out the round of 32 at this year's FIFA World Cup. Ghana is going to take on Colombia in a matchup out at Arrowhead Stadium. Kansas City Stadium. Kickoff is at 8:30 p.m. Now, Gabe, I was kind of shocked by some of these rankings. I saw Colombia, I believe they're ranked top 15, maybe like 11 or 12, somewhere in that ballpark. Ghana, I kind of thought they were going to be one of the best teams out of Africa. What's burned into my memory is when they knocked the USA out of the 2010 World Cup. Might have knocked us out of a different World Cup too. I just feel
2020. We beat them in 2014 in Brazil.
Okay, I feel like the USA just has a tough luck against Ghana. But Ghana, I saw, is ranked 65th in the world. But Gabe, not necessarily much talking about the match, but just the way Kansas City has been a World Cup host. You're from here. Blue Valley Northwest went there. What's it been like for you to kind of see last night during the game, like the USA game, they were showing power and light after the goal celebrations. Yeah. What do you think of how we as a city and as, I'm going to say, our Kansas City culture, how we have presented ourselves to the world?
I think it confuses everyone around the country of why they do that until you get here, and then you just realize like people just care about the communal atmosphere of it, and B, just really enjoy sports in a way that other cities do not. I have friends from college who live in the Bay Area. They were hosting the game last night at Levi's Stadium. I'm not bowing to every FIFA restriction. Levi's paid for the naming rights to that stadium. It's Levi's Stadium, home of the
great American company. And shout out Denim.
Yeah, there you go. And so they had the game in the Bay Area region, and my friend was at a watch party outside the Chase Center in downtown San Francisco, and people are just sitting on a piece of turf watching on a big screen, and nobody wants to stand up. Nobody wants to get into things for the United States match. I could get it if it was just like a random watch party for another country, but that's not happening in Kansas City. I promise you there's nobody sitting on their hands at Power and Light, and there's a reason for that. People just care.
I think the best way to say it, the two loudest sports venues on planet Earth are here. There's Arrowhead Stadium, the loudest stadium, and there's Allen Fieldhouse, which I believe was the loudest indoor stadium. Now, is it because they're acoustically designed to be the loudest? No. It's because of you. It's because of the people of Kansas City. It's because of the people of America's heartland. Anybody can go and fill that stadium and make it loud, but Kansas Cityans go out there, they scream their heads off, and look what happened. And I love, a lot of the other day I was out at Power and Light and doing the deal. I'll be there tomorrow. Hey, guys, tune in. But Nate Bukaty, a great American soccer analyst, but based here in Kansas City, from Kansas City, talking to him, I was like, wow, this is unbelievable what's going on out here at Power and Light. And then Nate Bukaty over the PA to everybody, he said, you guys know what? The reason that there are soccer parties all across the country is because of you. And he said it was the videos that came out from the 2014 World Cup, the World Cup watch parties that we had here in Kansas City, that inspired other cities across the country to have World Cup parties. So it's not necessarily we're the impetus of this. Like, you guys, the people of Kansas City, you guys have such a good time. You do such a good job out there at Power and Light that other cities saw the video and said, hey, we want to copy that. And that's not a testament to Power and Light. That's not a testament to the game. That's a testament to the fans here in Kansas City because they're loud and they like to get excited. So we're excited for tomorrow's game. Ghana against Colombia. Neil Jones and Marlia Campbell, our sports director, will be inside the building. Myself, Roger Espinoza, and Katie Marr will be at Power and Light. We have our news crews deployed all across the metro as we try to kind of capture the moment of this World Cup. It has been so cool. Gabe's killing it for us on digital there. Read his web articles. Read all of our web articles. But that is a look at KC Sports Tonight on this Thursday, July the 2nd. Until we meet again, everybody, make it a good one.